Hello, I'm Kathleen Choi. Welcome to Asian Voices. Coming up next on Southern California's source for Asian and Pacific Islander culture, arts, lifestyle, and entertainment.
I was working with the Center for Immigration Research in Houston at the University of Houston and had written about the Vietnamese community. When I became a graduate student, I was very interested in telling our stories, our Vietnamese American stories, and I was fortunate to have the story published in a book called Asian Texans. Seadrift is a documentary about the Vietnamese refugees who came to a small town in Texas called Seadrift. It's a coastal town off the Gulf of Mexico, and it's a fishing town, fishing, shrimping, and crabbing. Vietnamese refugees were looking for work, and they came there with fisherman skills. And so the documentary focuses on how the influx of refugees came there, what were some of the racial and economic tensions that arose from that. Seadrift is a town of about 1,300. All white folks. And so there was some conflict, some racial conflict. It led to violence, and it also prompted the KKK to get involved. And so the story follows what happened in the town, what was the, situation with the violent confrontation, and how the town resolved those issues. And we want to give voice to those who were there to tell the story of Seadrift. Asian Americans are often invisible. We as a community are very focused on success. We are driven. We are accomplishing a lot of things. But our presence in wider society, in political representation, in the media, we need to be heard. For myself, I feel that I've always been very mindful about what is my story, what is my community's story, how do we tell those stories, how do we encourage the next generation to be involved with that, because if we don't tell our stories, no one will. I'm Tao Ha, and this is my voice.
Magic, to me, is about achieving the impossible. It pushes the boundary of knowledge and vision, and reminds me to challenge myself to new heights every day. There is no limit. It may take years of hard work to perfect a sleight so that no one can perceive it. When I look at the world, everything is magic. Every moment in our lives can be magical.
A lot of people saw me on the Penn and Teller show, but a lot of people didn't know that's actually my fourth time applying to be on the show. I first applied 4 years ago when I was 17, and I sent them a card trick, and then they said no. So I was like, okay, I'll try again next year. And next year I invented something I think was very, very original, and I thought, okay, this is for sure getting on the show, but then another no. So I was feeling kind of sad at the time. I was like, okay, I was thinking of giving up because I was like, am I not good enough, or is there something I'm missing out on? Because I didn't know what else I can do to do better. But then what I told myself is, just because they said no doesn't mean my magic's not good. Maybe just something they didn't want that season. So I just kept pushing myself, developed a bunch of new magic acts, and finally this time I got on. So actually, what they took this time was my backup option. So I sent them 2 different magic tricks, and this is the second one, and they actually prefer this one.
You fooled us.
never know what happens. I think it's important to never give up. I'm Rabbi Yang, and this is my voice.
Ever since I was a kid, people always doubted what I could do. I think limits are just meant to be overcome.
Jessica is most famous for being the first armless pilot in aviation history to fly using only their feet. She also has an unrestricted driver's license. She's a certified scuba diver. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology. She's a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo and certified trainer.
In the beginning, it was very challenging for my family because they had no idea how I would be able to be independent, how would I be able to do the everyday things that people do with their hands. And then I started to develop the skills of using my toes and my feet like hands and fingers. And this was something that came very naturally to me. It was something even the doctors thought would happen. They would tell my mom to hand me toys to my feet so that I can start to interact with the world with my toes and my feet. And it became a very natural process. I learned to go through the phases of childhood using my feet like hands. I learned how to eat, feed myself, and explore the world with my toes. If I were to describe myself in 2 words, I would probably say persistent and fearless. And the reason why is because I'll do anything and I'm willing to try and I don't give up. If there's something I really want to do, I am pretty persistent and driven to get it done. I'm Jessica Cox, and this is my voice.
The thing that I love about my job is helping people smile. Every person that walks into our office has a different experience, and I love how they come to us and how they leave, because they always smiling more and they laughing, they have more confidence, they joke around, they even like lose weight after I help them with their dental care, and it's like a big transformation. So that's the biggest thing that I like about doing what I do, is the ability of giving back, but also to help people transform their smile so they can change their life.
So my family and I tried to escape twice. The first time I was only 7 years old. My sister Janice here was 1, and our brother James was a couple months old. We tried to escape with my mom and my uncle. My dad couldn't join us actually, because if he was caught, they would probably execute him or something. So he didn't go with us. We were on the ocean for 3 nights, and unfortunately we got caught. The Vietnamese police stopped the ship, and we turned around. So we were in concentration camp for 2 months. I remember we were hungry a lot of time.
Yes.
We were released. It was like women and the kids, so we were released right before Chinese New Year. Unfortunately, all of our stuff was confiscated, so that was it was very memorable because we didn't have much during that Chinese New Year.
I picked the Stand Down to help the veterans is because I felt very strongly of how they were able to come to Vietnam, to our country to help us, and without them, my sister and I wouldn't be sitting here.
For sure.
And we want to be able to contribute back to the men and women who have saved us.
I'm Justine.
I'm Janice,
And this is our voice.
wanted to bring Tahiti to San Diego because it was missing that. You know, Ori Tahiti, Tahitian dance, it was huge in LA. You know, they have these amazing groups like Nona Sina, Le Polynesia, but in San Diego, I think they're missing that. So I talked to my mom and I said, why don't we bring Tahiti to San Diego? We make a Ori Tahiti dance competition and a cultural festival, and represent Tahiti as best as we can. It's very important for me to promote my culture because we're a minority here in San Diego. And growing up, I fell in love with the culture very early. My mother, you know, she would bring us back to Tahiti every year, vacations, and so I got to see what it was like growing up in Tahiti. So family parties, everybody would get together, we would dance, we would sing, we would eat Tahitian food. I was lucky enough to see a lot of the you know, untouched islands. So I fell in love with it, and coming back to America, I could see the differences in living, and I think the nice thing about that was that the life you have is not the only way, right? So for me, it's very important because I love Tahiti. We're a minority here in San Diego, and somebody has to represent the culture, so why not us? We are Tahitian.
No, we have to keep that manner, you know, be kind, be respectful to each other, be helpful to others. So this is all the traits of, to me, you know, being, coming from the islands.
I am Lindsay.
I am Maiva.
We are Heva. This is our voice.
I just always loved comedy, and I always thought, oh, I'm not funny enough. You know, I've been doing theater for like 20 years and acting on film and commercials, and I was always like the token Asian. Even, you know, in the comedy shows, I'm like the one Asian, and I'm a woman. So people always look at me like, you're not funny.
We love our sunscreen, rice gets the shit. Crazy, woke Asians. We crazy, woke Asians. Crazy, woke Asians. Say crazy, woke Asians.
So I was like, I'm gonna try the stand-up thing. I took a class, and you know, it was really just to make me start writing. And then once I started writing that way, and I was like, oh, I could be funny sometimes. And then I just kept at it. And you know, you bomb sometimes, and you go to all the open mics, and then you're like, oh, okay, and you're the only Asian there, but it's fine. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody's looking at you when you're on stage, you know, for 5 minutes, you know, and they're on their phones. No one's laughing. It's like, okay, that's fine. I can do this. And then when I started meeting and seeing all these Asian comedians, I was like, wow, I should just put on a show, you know, with all of us, because I used to produce theater in San Diego and Seattle, so this is easy. It's a no-brainer.
An Asian one that likes you? Pho when I eat pho, I get MSG. No more fighting over cable.
Because this is very in right now.
It doesn't stink. Song in my native language?
Crazy!
I've tried praying, meditation, crying. I've tried everything.
I can let you borrow my Kama Sutra.
From Crazy Woke Asians, we started Sweet and Sour Chicks. Gonna make you think different about Asian women. And it's not just about being Asian, it's about the lives of these characters, personalities, and her friends.
I always like to produce stuff and give platform to other people, so yeah, I'm still in all that. It's working out, it's selling out.
We are Crazy Woke Asians, and this is our voice.
That sounded all over the place.
Now more than ever, our voices need to be heard.
Our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities have been silent for too long.
We need better representation in media.
And be empowered to tell our own stories.
We are proud to call ourselves Asian,
Pacific Islander, and American.
We want to share our rich cultures and history with you.
Together, we can also replace
ignorance and even hate
with better understanding and awareness.
Asian Voices celebrates the differences we all have.
Please support the only television program
that creates a voice of real change.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
This is our voice.